Welcome back, everybody, to the Writer Reads Short Stories. Today's short story is The Seeker from Hivrala, Part 1. Sandfire snorted at the air, snuffing down the sweet currents blowing up from the plains lapping at her mountain's feet. She raised her snout and flicked out her tongue, tasting the sweetness, making sure the faint touch of sharpness was still there, that somewhere, amidst the grasses below, a seeker came. When she was sure, the dragon trumpeted the news to the mountain heights and launched herself into the wind. Hers was the honor of the first overflight, and the capture, if she could make it. Vestera, let me just get that fixed. On the plains below, Vestera heard the bugled notes ring out in the distant range and curled her lip. If they thought she came looking for one of them, they had another think coming. She did not want to become a dragon's pet. She had merely fled the city before the royal guard could find her. Charlatan indeed. What did they know? Nothing, she decided. They can know nothing, and that was the way it was going to remain. Them, ignorant and empty-handed, and she, free to roam whatever lands lay beyond the mountains. She looked up at the towering peaks and felt the first sliver of doubt. Of course, first she had to cross those forbidding heights. Vestera adjusted the weight of her pack and hoped she had enough to make the journey. She'd brought food and what water she could carry, rope and pythons, although she was no climber, a tent for shelter, warm blankets, sewn together at the edges to make a pouch she could slide into at night, flint and tinder, and a cooking pot. Truth be known, she was hoping to find snow further up, or a stream. She could eat the rations dry, but she could not drink them, and they tasted better softened. First, though, she had to take cover. She had no desire to be scooped up by the dragons and taken from her intended course. Fortunately, the plains were not as flat as many assumed. They rippled, undulated, their grasses concealing gullies carved out by hidden streams that came and went with the seasons. Vestera looked for one of those, and when she couldn't find one, contented herself with sinking below the level of the grass stems and curling herself around the base of one of the clumps. In this way she would be covered by the outward spreading stalks, her form invisible to the sky. She had not counted on the powerful downdraft created by the dragon's wings as it pivoted mid-air above her. "We do not have to be overhead to see you," it said, and Vestera cursed the smug sound in its voice. She knew it would do her no good to stay where she was, felt the softest of tremors as the creature sat down. With ill grace she stood up and brushed the dirt from her clothing. "I do not want to go with you," she said, and it snorted. "What you do or do not want is of no consequence to me," it said. "You have the scent of a seeker." "The scent of a seeker? What does that even mean?" Vestera demanded. "I do not want to go with you. I do not seek you. I only wish to cross the mountain and explore the cities beyond." The dragon cocked its head, first one way and then the other, as it studied her, each liquid eye taking her in from a scant 5 yards. And then it turned its head. "You could still try to make the mountain," it said, "but I think the riders would overtake you." Vestera felt a frisson of fear. So soon? "Riders?" she asked, unable to see past the dragon's bulk, but she knew it was true, could feel the thunderous vibration growing beneath her feet. "Yes," the dragon said. "They are riding hard, guided by a figure in blue." Well, that explained a lot. Only the Guild of Seekers wore blue. It puzzled Vestera, though. The Seekers were not cheap, and she was not that important. What could the royal guard want with her that would even have them thinking of authorizing the payment? "They will be upon us in a few grains' time," the dragon told her, "and I do not wish to fight them. Will you come willingly, or must I carry you in my claws?" "Willingly?" Vestera asked, although she wasn't sure she didn't want to take her chances with the guard. "Good." The dragon took her question as assent. Climb onto my shoulders. Quickly, I have no desire to be peppered with arrows. Vestera didn't know exactly what made her decide to go with it. Perhaps it was the mention of arrows, perhaps not. But whatever it was, she crossed swiftly to the dragon's side and clambered just as fast onto its back. Finding herself a space between the ridges of the crest running down its spine, she settled herself in for the flight. Hang on, the beast ordered, and Vestera wrapped her arms around the ridge in front of her as it leapt from the ground. Dragons cannot fly. The words came to her unbidden as the creature left the ground. Oh, yeah? Vestera thought, glancing down to see the plains diminishing far below her. This one does. Who are you talking to? The dragon asked, and Vestera was glad she was holding on, or she might have slipped from her seat and fallen. Contrary to popular belief, the dragon's crest wasn't rigid, even if each ridge had a hard central support. The dragon laughed inside her head, and Vestera glared at it. Her glare had no effect, but that was probably because she was really glaring at it, the expression pasted across her face and not inside her head. So, the dragon said, oblivious to her discontent, who were you talking to? No one, Vestera answered, and the wind of their flight whipped the words from her mouth. Just think the words, the dragon advised. I will hear them. And it probably would, too, Vestera thought, suddenly aware that she had not heard its voice when they'd been talking on the plains, that part had been an illusion, too. Of course not, the dragon interrupted. Our vocal cords might produce sound as yours do, but our mouths are not the same. And I have not learned to make the sounds of your language yet, so this is much more economical. You are putting the pictures and concepts straight into my head? Vestera asked. In a way, but now that I am inside your head, I can learn your language much more quickly. You should have asked permission. When those riders wished to acquire you, whether you were willing or no, it had a point there. Could you see inside their heads too? No, but the dragon paused. I couldn't see inside their heads. It sounded just a little puzzled by that, as though such a thing wasn't natural. Why couldn't I see into their heads? It wondered. Vestera couldn't answer its question, but the ideas puzzled her as well. Don't the peoples of the city trade with dragons? She asked. It has been known, but we make them climb the mountain first. Well, that made sense. But what did they want with her? Sorry. Well, that made sense. But why did they want her? Because you have the scent of a seeker, the dragon replied. But what was a seeker? She did not want to become a dragon's pet. Vestera was sure of that. Seekers are not pets. The dragon sounded amused. What are they then? Vestera felt the equivalent of a mental shrug roll over her. That even we do not know. Then where are you taking me? To the Seeker's Gate. The what? The Seeker's Gate. It is our task. Who dared give dragons tasks? Vestera wondered, feeling a little off balance. No one told a dragon what to do. No one could. The dragon snorted, its amusement creeping through her head. The gatekeepers have always told us what to do, it said. Gatekeepers? You will see when we arrive. But what are the gatekeepers? Again the mental shrug came. The dragon was no more enlightened than Vestera. Perhaps you can ask the gatekeeper when you see him. Him? Or her, the dragon said, the tone inside her head indicating it did not care either way. They travelled in silence, Vestera gripping the spine for comfort more than balance. The steady rhythm of the dragon's wing strokes lulled her, but her awareness of just how high up they travelled kept her wide awake. The higher they flew, the colder it got, but the planes fell far away, and with them the riders and their blue-robed leader. Why was a member of the Seekers Guild leading the pursuit? She wondered. The dragon made a rude noise inside her head. Seekers, schmeekers, it mocked. Fancy diviners with delusions of grandeur. They cannot follow you through the gates, and now you have another question for the gatekeeper. Why that should please the dragon, Vestera didn't know. Because you need 3 questions to gain admittance, the dragon explained. 3? But where was she going to find a third? Don't worry, you will think of one, the dragon reassured her. Well, she supposed she could ask this gatekeeper about the things she'd found beneath the city. That was when the trouble had all started. That was when she had realized there were shadows and faces that kept reappearing around her like bad pennies or admirers she hadn't asked for, and shortly afterwards she'd received the message telling her she was hunted, and she'd left, dodging by the barest of margins whoever had kicked in her door.